Okay. Hi, my name is David Lang. Title of my show is Life Chronicles because I paint to sort of have a conversation with the world, back and forth. And it's kind of a chronicle. Painting for me is a chronicle of what's important to me. So I'll just go through some of my paintings. This is my granddaughter. She claims it doesn't look like her. She's probably right, but I call it a portrait of a young girl. I do both. Actually, three things that I do. I do pen and ink, I do watercolor, and I do oil. And so this one here is one of my watercolors. And I'd like to explain, if you could zoom in, Mark. My father and grandfather were fur traders in China and Japan in 1923 to 1937. So whenever I do a watercolor and I have a mat, I chop it with my grandfather's chop from the 1920s. This is chop is carved in ivory, and this says in Japanese, in katakana, it says Hari Rangu, Harry Lang. And so it makes me feel close to my family and my grandfather whenever I put his chop on one of my paintings. Then to get into my life chronicles, my wife and I have three daughters, and one of our daughters lived on the island of Corsica for a long time. And so my wife and I would visit her in France every about twice a year. So this is a watercolor. Actually, it's both pen and ink and watercolor. And it's the Seine right across from the Louvre. This also is a famous scene in Paris. It's the inside of Sacré-Cœur, which is in Montmartre and is one of the most famous mosaics in Europe. And let's go. So that's also a watercolor with pen and ink. Then this is a scene of an old guy sitting in a pub in Dublin. Kind of this is going into my oil painting. This, once again, getting to where my daughter lived, she lived in southern Corsica. This is a town of Bonifacio, where Napoleon Bonaparte used to hang out when he was a young army officer. That's oil, and this is the main plaza in Porto Vecchio, which is where my daughter lived. And just kind of, once again, I don't know, my style constantly changes because I'm painting for myself. And for me, art is an exploration of life. I never try to do the same thing twice. I always kind of adjusting or whatever. So I don't know if you call it impressionistic or what, but it constantly changes. Now, we have another daughter that lives in a small town in Washington State called Husum, Washington. It's on the Columbia River Gorge. So these next few paintings take place there. So this is actually my youngest daughter and granddaughter wading in Trout Creek. That's Mount Adams in the background. This is oil. And across from my daughter's house is an empty lot with this, I think it's a 1930s harvester, abandoned, sitting in there. This is simply a butterfly on a flower. This painting here is the biggest painting I've ever painted to date, and it is Multnomah Falls. It's on the Oregon side of the Columbia River. Hood River, White Salmon, where my daughter lives, is over in the Washington side. And this is like a famous kind of stop on the way. This feeds into the Columbia River, but it's called Multnomah Falls. Still in Washington, this is the White Salmon River. My daughter lives actually right over here in the trees. This is the view from her kitchen window of Mount Adams. Once again, these are all oils. And this is right across the street from our house. It's a field with a little shack in it. I went for a walk when I was visiting her at 5:30 in the morning. It was drizzling, as typical in that part of the world. And then all of a sudden the rain stopped and the sun started to come out. So that's what I'm catching here. My youngest daughter took a computer coding class in Israel. And so this is the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. Now this is watercolor, and you can see my grandfather's chop is still there. So now we get into the realm of fantasy. And this is a baboon in a saloon. I joke sometimes and tell people it's a self-portrait. And this I just did. This is one of the latest paintings I've done. I just got back from a trip to Japan. I grew up in Japan. So Japan is a theme in a lot of what I do. But I was very influenced by my recent trip. And this is actually an anti-war painting. It's very an iconic thing in Tokyo is what's called Tokyo Tower. It was built in the 50s, and these are samurai dogs fighting samurai cats. In this corner here, there's a maneneko, which is, it means, it represents welcome, come in, and spend money. And this is a goddess, which obviously stands for religion. And a lot of wars are started and continued for either money or religion. These guys up here are power source that's just looking down, seeing who's going to win and how they could profit from it. And these guys think they're fighting for Tokyo Tower, but they're actually fighting at the expense of these guys. Then we get into my favorite subject. I love painting my dogs. And this is my studio. This is oil. This is where I work. And my wife's a little upset that I took over her breakfast nook. But this is where I work, and you can see Ava, my dog, standing there looking out the window. This is another dog, Munchie, sitting in the entry hall. Once again, oils. And this is Munchie and Ava, and I call this the princesses. So I've painted in tiaras on both their heads, because they do lead very charmed lives. This is Ava and our cat Tyson. And this is Munchie and Ava on their chairs in the living room. This dog scene here is my sister-in-law's two dogs with Ava. And the way I got them to look like that is I held a biscuit and got that expression. And then lastly, this is one of my Japanese paintings. It's just a box of fish. It says Taste of Nagasaki on it. And it's, as I say, I do Japanese scenes a lot. This is once again a watercolor. It's got the chop. And so that's kind of what this show's got, is a chronicle of my life. And thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any comments or questions? I think it's absolutely amazing. I love how there's themes.
Are the three dogs related? No, not at all. They're all rescues. And there's Ava.
The muse. Amazing. All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
David, thank you so much.